guys, it is Wyatt, and I know I usually start these out with carrying the camera around, but unfortunately I let everything run out of battery, so I have to record this on my phone and let it sit still. But anyways, in this video we are going to be finally tearing apart the LS Vtec motor that was in the Integra. So yeah, as you guys know, it broke a ringland, or at least I hope that's what it is. In a couple of videos ago, I think it was Cheap Parts Don't Last. Yeah, that was the video. So that's what I hope happened. I hope it just broke a ringland, and today we're gonna find out for sure. So as you can see, I have the motor up here on the engine stand. I've already gone ahead and drained all the coolant and the oil out of the motor. So let's go ahead and start pulling it apart. I'm gonna start with the valve cover, get it out of here, get the cams out, pull the head off, and hopefully we can at least look at how the cylinder is and, you know, assess whether it's going to be able to, or be feasible to just put it back together, or if it's going to need machine work to fix the cylinder. I hope that it didn't cause too much damage and that we can just slap a piston back in it, as I already showed you guys that I had ordered pistons for it just to get it back up and running so that we could put it into the Civic. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we got the cams off the motor, and now it's just time to pull the head studs out. I just need to unhook the oil feed line for the Vtec solenoid, and I'm also going to take off this other line, which is for the turbo feed. But as far as the camshafts and everything go, everything looks normal, looks in really good shape, so that's a plus. I was kind of curious if it had been a valve at first, but you know, it didn't sound anything like that at all. So time to reveal what's actually wrong with it and get this head pulled. So as you can see, I have the cylinder head off. If you look down in the cylinder, it actually looks really good so far. There's no real major scratches or anything in there. And there is one little one, but you can't even feel it with your fingertip or fingernail, so I'm not worried about it whatsoever. Yeah, like I said, I hope this thing just broke a ringland, because that would be, or make this extremely easy to fix real quick. So yeah, I'm gonna work on pulling the pan off, and we're going to take off all of the rods, and we're just going to put the full set of 4 pistons in this. And hopefully the bearings are good, because I didn't order a set of bearings, so I hope I'm going to be able to reuse these. I know some people will hate on that, but you know what, if it's still a good bearing, why replace it? But yeah, let's get started on pulling the pan off and seeing what's in the bottom end. Alright, so here we have the number 2 piston. This is the one that had low compression when I did the compression test in the Cheap Parts Don't Last video. Just a little background on these pistons. They are the Nippon turbo pistons. They are 0.5 bore over, so they're an 81.5 millimeter bore. And yes, they did crack, so that's a big relief. I actually couldn't find the cracks at first because I thought it was a different piston, but I went back and watched the video again, and you can obviously see it's this one. Kind of hard to see, but you can tell right about there, there's a crack. And there's also one right here on the second ringland. Then again on the top ring land, there's a big crack right there. That's probably where most of the combustion chamber was, or combustion pressure was coming through. And right below that one, there's a crack on the second ring land as well. So yeah, these things were obviously, I found their limit, to say the least. You know, I did push these pistons to 600 or so wheel horsepower, and you know, they're really probably only rated for about 450. So it's kind of crazy that they actually did take so much of abuse for quite some time actually. But yeah, as you can see, that's part of the ring land where it was all cracked out. So yeah, that shouldn't come out of there like that, but that's why it was having no compression and smoking a lot. So if I can get this second ring out here, let's see, just like that. And as you can see, it cracked that piston all the way through from the top ring down to the bottom ring, and it was just blowing right by this oil ring since it's not made to hold any kind of compression. But yep, that's exactly what happened. Just, you know, cheaper pistons. Like I said, I can't knock on anybody. I pushed these way more than they were ever supposed to be, so I'm just happy they lasted as long as they did and didn't really break anything else when they went. So yeah, I'm gonna get the oil rings off this, give it a little bit more of a look over, double check all the stuff on the block, and we'll start putting it back together. Alright, so as you can see, we got the rods separated from the pistons. So I'm going to go grab the new ones, and we're going to start measuring our ring gap and getting the new pistons set up for the block. I am a little bit hesitant to rerun these bearings, but I'm going to send it anyways, just because I want to get this motor in and running, and I'm not really worried about, you know, trying to make big power on it as long as it runs good. They do have a decent amount of wear on them, but nothing bad. It doesn't look like anything's gone through them, like any metal shavings or anything. So yeah, I'm just gonna send them, and on the new motor that will have all new bearings and everything, so be nothing to worry about there. I also want to show you guys what I found in the oil pickup tube, and this is kind of weird. I can't for the life of me figure out where it came from, so I'm gonna pull or grab the oil pickup tube and show you guys that. As I was saying, I found a couple things in the oil pickup tube as well. One of them being this. Not exactly sure what it is or how it got there. It almost looks like a dowel pin, but like I said, honestly no idea how it got there. I've gone through the entire motor and nothing looks out of the ordinary. And I also found this, which I don't know what it is either. It almost reminds me of a piece of bearing material, but all the rod bearings don't look like they've been coming apart. They just look a little worn out. So yeah, I'm still going to put it back together and run it. Like I said, it's not a big deal. I'm going to be building another motor for the car anyways. I just want to put this one in there so that, you know, proof of concept. I can get the thing running, do all the modifications I need to the chassis before I paint it, and then we'll be good to go after that. So I got my new pistons. I just grabbed those out of the shed, and I'm going to start test fitting all this stuff in the block and getting the ring gap set.
Hell no.
What the fuck, dude?
Bro. I'm over it. No heat.
No heat is life.
No heat for the winter.
I mean, considering it's snowing outside and it's like 17 degrees.
Just gonna build a little fireplace inside of the truck.
Oh, fuck. So for everybody who doesn't know, this is Emilio. His brother Ricky's got a badass car. He was at the track with us one time in his brother's car. So yeah. But this is also his truck. Ain't got no heat for the winter.
Not yet.
Sucks to suck, fool.
Look at my hood drop.
Yeah. That's class right there. Oh shit. Anyways, back to the motor. I'm gonna pull the crank out of it just to go through everything and also just go through and clean everything up. Emilio kind of convinced me to do that just because of what I found in the oil pan. So I'm going to pull it apart, just make sure everything's good to go, and like I said, just clean it up. So got all the rings fitted on the pistons. Now we're just gonna mate them to the rods and get them slapped in. No thanks to this guy.
I'm just watching, making sure you don't drop anything.
Oh, right. So yeah, everything looks pretty good. Got the surface of this thing cleaned up a little bit and pulled out the block guard. Don't know if that's gonna hurt me or help me, but we'll see, I guess, when it fucking cracks the sleeve. So yeah, we'll get these pistons on the rods, get them slapped in. Yeah, I don't know.
Or dude, I might just fucking chop apart the exhaust that I had on my car.
Fuck it.
Dude, I mean, fucking might as well.
Do you hear Emilio in the background?
Playing Mexican music?
I don't know what the fuck he's playing. Emilio, turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Alright, well, I'll hit you up tomorrow.
Finally got some music.
You know when I'm done with this shit, and I'll just come over or some shit.
Alright, I'll let you know.
Shit I've done.
Cool.
I want to blow your eardrums out.
Later. What was that? I couldn't hear you.
I want to blow your eardrums
Dude,
out.
crank it, baby. Fucking guy. Alright, so we got all the rods on the pistons. Now we're going to get them slapped in. As you guys saw, Emilio also got his truck working. That sick new radio, dog.
Brand new, man.
Damn
Got
right.
Tunes now. I have to listen to all like the noises of the truck.
Right. So we're going to get these things slapped in here and probably call it a night. I am going to get them torqued down and everything. And yeah, we'll go from there. Yeah. Alright. So another thing I forgot to mention, when windowing these things, I usually just go top ring up here, bottom ring down here. I do 180 from that. And then on the oil rings, I don't even gap them, but I just put them about 180 or like the opposite side of wherever the second ring is, but not to where it's under the first ring. And then yeah, I just have all three of the oil rings, you know, just barely spaced apart. So they haven't let me down yet.
Damn, bro, look at how you got these firing orders set up.
Alright, so it's the next day, and as you can see, I have this copper head gasket on here. It is the old head gasket that was on this. It was a JE Pro Seal head gasket, and I let it sit overnight with this copper coat on it. I usually spray all these gaskets, but I've always actually wanted to try this, which is just reusing an old gasket and seeing how well it holds. You know, you have everybody on the internet saying, oh, don't even bother, like just a waste of time. But these things are easy enough to do head gaskets on, so I'm going to give it a try and see how it works. So yeah, other than that, we have all the other parts here. I haven't really gone through and cleaned anything up, but I need to do that still. And a couple of you guys said that piece that came out of the head might be one of these Vtec engagement pins, so I'm going to go through all that and look at those, make sure none of it was from there. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get this thing, the head slapped back on here, and button this thing up. So I don't know how much of that the GoPro actually got. I did just get an error saying SD card malfunction, whatever, you know, typical GoPro stuff. But I did get the motor of the top end all put back together. So I've set the head on it, torqued all the head studs, torqued down all these cam caps, you know, got all my silicone on the cam seals and all that stuff so they don't leak. I did have a tiny little leak from this one the last time I put it together just because I forgot to push that seal back and it was like all the way out. So got that fixed this go around. I also got the timing set and the belt nice and tight. So that's all the further I'm going to get on that tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to set the valve cover on this motor real quick. Sorry for you guys that saw this video earlier today. It's just re-uploaded because I wanted to add these parts in it. And yeah. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please go subscribe, and make sure to hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you guys can join the notification squad. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.